Hey everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner and I have a very special guest in the corner. Would you like to unveil your secret identity to the masses?
My secret identity is Jupiter, Thunderclap, Crash! Susan Roman, otherwise known as Sailor Toops.
Now, I have to say it's very exciting for me personally to have you on the show. We've gotten to talk to quite a few of the people from Sailor Moon, but it's very special to talk with you because you were a part of the show so consistently in comparison to some of the other actors.
Well, that was actually a bit of luck. Some of the other performers had to leave to, do other work, or Terry Hawks had to. She was pregnant, so she had to leave. And I believe that Katie Griffin had to leave because she was pregnant as well. So those were wonderful life events for them. And those life events just didn't occur with me, so I was able to, keep doing the role, which was fabulous. I mean, I loved doing that part. So every time it came back again, and I was free and available, there I was doing it again. And I'm just really glad that I did, because it was such a great part, and it is such a great. She's such a great character to play. Yeah, love it.
You know, one of the interesting things that I find with Sailor Moon, that I find with not a lot of other like shows when we were kids, is when I ask guys who actually watch Sailor Moon, which is quite a big number, who is your favorite Sailor Scout? They always say Jupiter, like almost always.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
it's it's really surprising to me because I don't expect it, but so many people say Jupiter if they're male. I don't know why.
oh, if they're male. Okay, well that's good. I'll take that any day of the week. A lot of people have said that the reason they kind of gravitated towards her was because she was a little bit of a tomboy, which is not necessarily the way that I saw her. I don't think she really looks like a tomboy, but that to when you're a kid, when you're 8 or 9, the other Sailor Scouts might have seemed a bit more glamorous and a bit more sort of fashion forward, and that she was, because she has terrible anger management issues. Maybe that's part of being a tomboy, or maybe it was because, I think, because she was perhaps a little bit more down to earth. That's kind of how I always saw her. And I know that whenever there's a group of friends, it seems to me that the down to earth one is the one that everybody secretly maybe likes the best, just because you can count on them. I think that's got something to do with it. I don't know.
Well, I will say, as a kid, the appeal of that character to me was that she was still very tough, but she was
Right.
still feminine. And I really love characters that are able to be strong, but still retain their femininity.
I am so glad that you said that, Jackie. That is just, you've just made my day. Because, yeah, that's the whole point of that. When we were first doing that, I used to play a lot of little boys. And sometimes when I would be doing that character, um, sort of unknowingly, I would slip down into that little boy range, which is part of my own voice. Um, and all of a sudden, when I would hear it back, I'd think, "Oh my God, I just slipped over into the realm of being sort of not masculine, but losing the feminine part of her." And so I was always aware that I was kind of like in a little bit of shaky territory there. So the little boy is, um, oh my, I can't believe it! I did it! I got a home run! So you can see that it's kind of like the same voice that Jupiter has, but it's just maybe pushed a little bit more, or it's a little bit more upfront. Whereas Jupiter is just, she's more here, but I could go there, or I could go here. You see what I'm saying? So it was a little bit of a fine line there. So I'm really glad that she did keep her blah, that's always a fun word to say, femininity. So no, I'm really glad you said that. Bless you.
Well, no, it's just that's always been an appeal to characters for me growing up because I feel like a lot of times nowadays you have either these really like strong, super like kind of butch type of female characters. And
Right?
that to me doesn't really translate necessarily to a strong character because they're not celebrating the fact that, hey, you're a girl, it's okay for you to have long hair and braid it and wear jewelry and things like that. You can still kick butt, that's fine, but you don't need to, be touting like this huge gun in armor and I can't really tell, you know, your like body size at all because you're like hidden. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that. Celebrate the fact that you're a girl. I mean, that's terrific. That's exactly what I think the balance is for all of us. That we want to be tough and maybe not always tough, but we want to be able to stand up for ourselves, stand up for our friends, most importantly, and you can stand up for people and be really clear. I love that word. I am clear about how I feel about this, and this is clearly not going to happen. As opposed to, yelling and screaming and making a big production out of something, that's not necessary in order to be tough, I don't think. And I love that idea that a woman, and it's getting better all the time. I have to keep thinking back to when I was in my early 20s or when I was a teenager. We Things were different then, and it really does my heart good to see people your age. I mean, I don't know how old you are, but I can imagine how old you are by listening to your voice, and just that you're so down to earth about things and not all caught up in that the way we were in having to always prove ourselves as females. Do you know what I'm saying? That sometimes makes you a little bit sort of militant, and you don't mean to be, but you're kind of fighting for yourself all the time, so you come across as militant. So I'm glad that has, kind of eased off a little bit. And so you can just be comfortable about the fact that, hey, you're female, and you happen to be really, really good at what you do. And just like it or lump it, dude.
Well, since we're on the topic and we didn't get a chance to talk about your origins, did you have any difficulty entering the acting field because of your gender?
No, no. No, there are always, parts available for females. And I started I started acting on camera. I used to have a television series here in Canada when I was, pardon me, in my 20s, and I did, theater and film and TV and all that sort of stuff. And then when I decided that I would rather focus on voice work, it just so happened that was the time that a lot of animation was starting here in Toronto. So I kind of got into that group of folks who started to do a lot of animation. So it was actually, and there were quite a few female parts going around then. So that part. Pardon me. That part was absolutely fine. No restrictions because of being female on that side. That's for sure.
So, what in your career made you want to focus on voiceover?
I kind of got tired. I was sitting in I call them horse trailers, the trailer that you sit in when you're doing a film. And I, I was sitting there, it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and I was sitting in my trailer, and my call time, I was supposed to have been on set like at 6 o'clock the previous night, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning, and I still hadn't been called yet. And I was so tired, but still, apprehensive, that horrible feeling like you just want to sleep, but you can't because, you're going to have to go on camera and do this incredible scene whenever they call you. And I looked into the mirror and I said, are you really liking this? And sometimes when you ask yourself those questions, I mean, it was such a shock that would even come into my brain. And I said, of course I like it. I love it. I've trained all my life to do this. Shut up. This is fine. Everything's going to be great. But the seed was planted. And after a while, I guess a couple of months, I thought, I think I'm going to, because my agent phoned and said, we need some more 8x10s, some headshots of you, because they had just run low, and maybe you should just get a new one done, because it's been, 2 years or whatever. And I said, yeah, I think I'm going to hold off on that. And she said, oh, yeah? Well, we need them. And I said, I think that I'm going to just focus on doing voice work. Well, that didn't go over very well because
Uh-oh.
I was working quite a lot. Um, but she said, okay, fine, if you just want to take a little break from it. So I started doing a lot more voice work, and I realized that I didn't miss what I'd been doing before, and I loved doing voice work, and I particularly loved doing animation because if you're a trained actor, you know you've learned how to deal with scripts. You've been dealing with scripts all your life, and suddenly you're going in to a recording studio, and that's what you're dealing with, scripts. I mean, they're shortened, and they're perhaps a lot simpler than King Lear, but they're scripts and they're stories, and you have to perform. As opposed to in other voice work where you're saying, and now for only $19.99, you too can. It's not that sort of stuff. It's actual performing. So I loved that. I loved it. I said, look, I get to do my acting, and I don't have to worry about 5 extra pounds here or there, and I don't have to worry about my hair, and I don't have to worry about anything. I just go in, and it's me and the microphone. And I just fell in love with that. Interesting. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I shouldn't.
No, I think it is really interesting because, I think that's a big step in an actor's, career to look at what they're doing and say, no, I want to do this because acting is it's not necessarily a stable job all the time. So
No.
it can be a really scary thing to do. So I applaud you for that.
Well, thank you. And listen, every once in a while, I say to myself, I think I'm going to try it again. I think I'm going to, why not? Just for fun, just to see, what would happen. Just go to an audition and see what would happen. I mean, you never know. But it, that would be, I mean, obviously, I'm making it sound so casual, and it isn't. I mean, if you want to be a good actor, you have to really be prepared and work really, really hard, and I haven't been to a class in many, many years. I just would have to hope that it would be like riding a bicycle, because I did do a lot of on-camera stuff. So I'm hoping that the minute if I started again, that I would say to myself, oh, I remember this. Yeah, this is okay, fine. But we'll just have to see.
Well, I think the only major changes, because the business seems pretty much the same, besides speed is an important factor, it seems like the biggest changes have been technology, both in the booth and on camera.
Oh yes. Oh, everything. You see, what I like. I mean, just even the fact that this is an internet radio station. I mean, this would have been this was unheard of. I mean, how many years ago? Not too many years ago. It seems that everything now is opening up, and I like that. And a lot of actors, voiceover actors, for example, we don't go down. Well, I haven't done it yet, but I will. We don't have to go to our agents and agencies and lay down an audition. We can do it from our home. I mean, you can get absolutely top-notch equipment or a top-notch sound in your own house using your own. If you get yourself a wonderful, wonderful microphone, and of course you have to have a room that's nicely baffled or whatnot, and your computer, and you just convert the whole thing into some sort of an MP3 or whatever, and send it away, and that's it. It's done, and it's practically broadcast quality, unless your dog happens to bark in the background, which is I'm sure what would happen in my case. But things like that, the fact that I could actually get a script in, do an audition, be able to have the luxury of listening back to myself. I could take half an hour and edit it and adjust the EQ or whatever I would have to do to make it sound absolutely terrific. But most importantly, that I would be really, really happy with my performance in the audition, then send it away. I mean, that's huge. That's an incredible improvement, and that's just in the last 5 or 10 years. So, yeah, it's a lot of this stuff is so exciting to me, and the internet has just opened everything up so incredibly well.
Well, I can kind of relate. I just did a move across town and I'm still in kind of a bare room. Like I have my desk and my bed set up. So even though I
Oh,
have the same equipment, I don't have foam or anything set up. So when I run it through compression, it's like I'm in an echoey tunnel and it just
oh.
sounds so bad.
Wow. But I mean, can you fix that yourself, or you it
Yeah,
doesn't really?
I have like a I have a foam guard coming in and I also have orders of foam coming in so I can fix everything and then once I get more furniture, it won't just be bouncing off of walls anymore.
Oh, right. So it's just the room tone too, as well as having an effect on it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Once I get just more stuff.
Just get a whole bunch of bodies in there and they'll absorb the extra sound, right?
Well, my brother does have 3 kids and I do need a use for them one day.
There you go.
Just stand there and be quiet. That's not gonna last.
Yeah, right. Dream on.
But one of the interesting things going back to Sailor Moon when I was doing my research and trying to, scope out some other interviews that you and the other casts have done is that the technology for that isn't, the normal dubbing technology of today. For example, today usually it's the 3 beeps. And I believe back then it was I'm blanking on the name, but I believe it was all to tape.
So it was the technique was a rhythmo band.
Thank you.
The apparatus was called a rhythmo band, and it was very much like karaoke. So that the words were going across the bottom of the screen. They scanned from right to left, and then when the word hit the bar, you would say the word. So as the words are coming, they start coming faster and faster and faster. It means that you have to start talking faster and faster, and then the words would actually enlarge on the screen, and then there would be big spaces. But let's say you were doing the word faster, and it would go F space A space S space. So you'd know that you'd have to say that faster or faster if it was really, really small and tightly. It's hard to describe without seeing it in action. You can actually, there's an incredible, a pretty good rendition of it on YouTube. You just put in Rhythmo Band, Rythmo band, and you can see it in action because they used it a lot in Quebec, which is a province in Canada. It's a French-speaking province. So all the stuff that comes, all the English programming that comes in to Quebec from the rest of Canada and from the U.S. and from all over the world has to get dubbed into French, obviously. And they needed a way to do it really quickly and really well. And the Rhythmo Band, it is astonishing how accurately you can dub when you get good at using the Rhythmo Band. So it was all new to us because I hadn't done very much dubbing at that point, but the dubbing that I had done was just the beat dubbing, which is literally the beep tells you when to come in at the beginning of the sentence, and then you're on your own, and you have to hope for the best. Whereas the Rhythmo Band is with you throughout the entire speech. It's always, always there, just like karaoke. So I think that's one of the reasons why the performances might have sounded a bit more relaxed and genuine, not so wooden. Sometimes the beep system because you were so focused on trying to get the sentence in on time, sometimes you weren't focused as much on the performance as perhaps you should have been. Whereas the Rhythmo Band, as long as you were just really focused on that Rhythmo Band and really kind of in tune with it, the other part of your body, your brain, your creative side, could be creative. You had the freedom to do it. There was still enough brain power left to be creative. So I think that was one of the reasons why the performances were livelier, looser, maybe a little bit more realistic because of the technique that was used. Who knows? That's just my opinion, but
Well, no, I can see that. I mean, nowadays, if you mess up, you don't have to redo the take. You can just zap it through Pro Tools and make it, shorter and longer, which I don't think helps either.
yeah, certainly Pro Tools wasn't around back then. That's for sure. And the thing is, dubbing is a really difficult art, and it is an art. It's hard. It's really hard to do, and some people are just absolutely magnificent at it, and some people get so terrified. I mean, I know a couple of actors who auditioned for or were cast in Sailor Moon and just found it was just too frightening for them. And so when you get that frightened, not by the project but by the technique, and you getting ready to go in, and you say to yourself, I can't do this, and then of course you can't perform. You're not free anymore. You're way too worried about messing up. So that's no good. And the people, I mean, I was lucky because when I first saw it, I thought, get me out of here. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, get me out of here. But then after a while, I just kept saying, okay, calm down, calm down. This is fun. Let's. And then I got my first sentence right, and then I started to get a bit more confident, and away you go. So, but it is. I think that a lot of actors who don't have any experience dubbing don't realize how difficult it can be to do it well, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, I've always heard that some sort of musical talent actually helps with it to stay on rhythm, but I've never tried it before, so I can't say.
You're absolutely right. I was just going to say that actually. There's something musical about it. There is. You're absolutely right. And with the beeps too, because the beep is going beep, 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 in. So if you don't have that timing, right? If your brain can't pick up the timing between the first two beeps that you're hearing, you're never going to come in at the right time. Are you following that? Does that make sense?
No,
Yeah.
it does. It totally does.
Yeah. So likening it to a musical ability, pardon me, is absolutely right on. That's exactly what it is.
Well, for all the fans out there who want to practice their scales, we're going to take a short break here on 91.8 The Fan. But don't go anywhere because our special guest isn't, so keep it tuned to your favorite station where we play everything you want and nothing you don't. Hey, everybody out there, you're still listening to 91.8 The Fan, and my special guest is still here, alive and breathing, I
Yeah.
promise.
I'm still breathing. I don't know if I'm alive, but I'm breathing.
Well, zombies are the in thing nowadays. I mean, that's what all the kids like, so. It's zombies
Okay.
or vampires.
Sounds good.
But actually, behind the break, we were talking about a project you were a part of. I brought this up just because it was a coincidence. Recently, for those of you out there know that I moved in with my brother, and my mom and we're all living together. And my brother just happens to own like a huge collection of movies. And he pulled a movie out of his collection because he's introduced me to things like Rudy and a few other films that I'd never watched, like Dancing with Wolves and things like that. And I'm like, okay, but he pulled this one movie out of his collection, and he's like, this is an animated thing, you'll probably like it. And it was Rock and Rule, and I had no idea you were in it until we were watching it.
I, that's just so amazing because that's talk about a flash from the past. That was way, 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 way before Sailor Moon came along.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a really interesting project because, first of all, it is, well, it's a niche movie, I would say, right? I mean, it's got a specific following, and I think it still has a pretty good following to this day. But for its time, it was really groundbreaking. And the idea, I don't know if you listen to any of the music in it. There's some fabulous music in it. And there's a singer in there named Blondie. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of Blondie.
Yes.
At that point in time, she was really, really hot. She was extremely well known and popular. And the producers decided to ask her to do some of the music for the film, and she agreed. And they needed to find somebody who could sound like Debbie Harry, how she would sound if she were speaking. So everybody in Toronto was going out to audition for this leading role in an animated feature film, and everyone's going, an animated feature film? What? I mean, it was just so unheard of. Animation was for television, and it was for it was for kids. So, first of all, the fact that it was a feature film, and second of all, the fact that it was going to be for adults was just mind-boggling. So everybody goes out to audition, and I had been doing quite a bit of animation at that point, but I was always playing little girls or little boys. I did I had just done for the same company, Nelvana. I had just done a part in Strawberry Shortcake, and I was the berry princess. So they thought of Susan Roman speaks like this. She's a berry princess. So they never ever thought of bringing me in to read for the role of Angel, is the character's role in the film, because they thought there's no way she doesn't sound like Debbie Harry in a million years. So as I was reading for something else for them, the casting director for the film was in the room, a casting assistant or director, I can't remember which, and her name is Arlene, and for some reason I've forgotten her last name, and she heard me speaking when I wasn't being the berry princess. So I was just talking in my normal voice, and she said to herself, "Ooh, she's got like a little bit of a rasp in her voice. Debbie Harry has a little bit of a rasp in her voice. We should bring her in to read." So I think I was the last standing, living, breathing actress in Toronto to read for that part. And they phoned me the next day and they said, "Yeah, you got it." So that was so thrilling, and I mean, I owe that so much to Arlene, and I'm so embarrassed that I cannot remember her last name. But what a wonderful, excellent move on her part. That's the kind of thing that it could be called a stroke of incredible good luck, but I think it's called a stroke of an incredibly good casting director who has that kind of an ear. You know what I'm saying? Who can sort of hear, ooh, there's a quality in there, and that I think can work. And yeah, so I really lucked out on that one. And the film, I watch it every couple of years, and I think it's fabulous. I it's as you say, it's perhaps not everybody's cup of tea, and not to everyone's taste, but certainly for its time, it was amazing. And the music I think the music still stands up.
Yeah, I can say definitely that I really like the music. From a fan point of view, it was very psychedelic. I mean, there were
Yeah.
animation tricks in there that I hadn't seen in a really long time, but it made the film really interesting and visually appealing to watch. Though I think you can tell it's for adults because the film kind of has a grit, kind of dirty feel to it, if that makes sense.
Oh, sure. Oh, that's what they were going for.
Hmm.
That grit. I'm interested. What techniques did you see that you hadn't seen in a long time?
Well, for any of the time that the villain, I believe it's Mock,
Right.
anytime
Yes.
he was doing anything like with music, it was just like groovy. Like that's the best thing that comes to mind. Like psychedelic and groovy. It was just I know, make fun of me. I'm a baby, I know.
I haven't heard those words well since before I was born, but I love it.
It's got kind of like it's almost like an animated Tron sort of feel, like
Mhm.
just the way that everything looks and it's combined and overlapped together with other visual effects.
Yes.
It's an interesting thing to see.
That no, that's well, okay, good. So you're because you're so much into animation and all the different forms of it. When you see something like this, you're going to be looking at it from an entirely different viewpoint as well, right? As opposed to
Yeah,
just sitting there
to
being
certain
entertained.
degrees. I mean, to be honest, like the first portion of the film caught me off guard because I was like, "That's Sailor Jupiter. I'm pretty sure that's Sailor Jupiter. I'm talking to her tomorrow." Like that was kind of weird. I didn't expect that. Like it literally, it was just a weird coincidence.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Life is full of coincidences. It's kind of spooky sometimes.
It is, but it was an interesting film, and for any of the listeners out there who haven't seen the film, I would recommend, picking it up to rent. I'm not sure if it's on Netflix at this point because my brother actually had a hard copy of it.
A hard co- okay, yeah. Mhm. Well, wouldn't that be great if Netflix would just get that into their library? Wouldn't that be great? Hint,
Yes.
hint.
Yeah. But I'm sure there are copies still available online if you hunt around on eBay and things like that because the film is very unique and I think it's something that, older fans of not just anime but animation can appreciate because it's to that audience.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and as I say, the music uh, is definitely of a certain time and a certain era. And so, as soon as you hear that soundtrack, you're either going to say, "Oh, I don't think so," or you're going to say, "Oh, right, let's just get into this," because it's that specific. I think.
And I really just liked your character. I thought your character was just really neat because she
Oh,
was so real.
yeah, and again, another strong woman. Boy, I mean, that was really that was kind of groundbreaking in and of itself. The fact that I think she controlled most of everything that went on in the entire film with a velvet fist. That kind of control. And again, for the time, yeah, for any time, I mean, that was somebody with that incredible strength that wasn't flaunting it or trying to make it really, really obvious and overt, but just had that sort of quiet strength that worked and that accomplished, got the job done. So again, it's really, really fantastic to think that your voice can convey that. So yeah, I was very lucky to be able to do that one, I must say.
Well, for the fans out there that want to keep up to date with your work and, things that you're doing, or maybe they just want to, contact you and say, have a good day. Are there any places on the internet where they can do that?
Well, I just opened a Twitter account, I guess, about 3 months ago. So I definitely would love to hear from anyone who wants to say hi. That would be terrific. And one of these days, I'm going to set up a specific Facebook account. That's on my to-do list. Yes, it's on the fridge to do, even as we speak. So I'll let you know.
Well, so I have to ask because a lot of the people that we talk to, they either favor Facebook or Twitter, but are you using Twitter, frequently? Are you adapting to it? Because I have a lot of people that actually come in and they're like, I don't know what to do with Twitter. I have a Facebook, but
Well, yeah, I don't think I've ever posted anything to start with. I just respond. Like I reply, "Oh, sounds great," or "That's super," but I haven't actually um, said something from my own head yet, which I mean that's what it's all about, isn't it? That you're supposed to not just be passive, that you're supposed to actually be, assertive or say, so this is what's going on now, or, yeah, but I haven't adapted to it as far as that goes. And it all goes by so quickly. I mean, you like if you blink, 14,000 things have gone by and you missed all of them.
yeah,
But
I know that feeling.
and maybe that's how it's supposed to be, right? It's just completely of the moment, and if you miss it, okay, fine, we'll just go on to the next moment,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, no, I
Or
can agree with that. But still, I would recommend if in the future, if you're part of a new project to pimp it out on your Twitter.
I will, I will indeed. I've just got to get a handle on it. Jupes made a funny.
Um,
Yeah.
but for the listeners out there that want to see you in real life, I know you and the other, Sailor Moon casts are traveling to quite a few conventions this year.
We are, which is so exciting because we did a few last year, and it was wonderful. It was just so. It is. I cannot tell you how fabulous it is to be able to meet um, people who actually grew up listening to your voice, and to hear the stories that they have to tell, and to see how much it meant to them. And I absolutely love it, love it, love it. And the fans have been, oh my God, so kind, so friendly, uh, um, and excited. It's that's what I like, and they're not all blasé. So I like that. Stuff like I can't believe I can't believe it. I used to listen to you when I was 7. I used to come home from school, and I love hearing those stories. And it's a really good connection to make. So anyway, so we're going to be going to Birmingham on Valentine's Day, and we're also going to be in Los Angeles, the big one, Anime Expo, on I think it's July 3rd to July 7th, or July 4th to July 7th, somewhere in there. It's all online, and the one in LA is really exciting because for the first time we will have Sailor Mars, Karen Bernstein, and we will have Sailor Venus, Stephanie Morgenstern along. So all 4 of the Sailor Scouts will be there. And, of course, Linda Ballantyne is going to be there, Sailor Moon. And Artemis is going to be there, Ron Rubin. Molly, Mary Long, is going to be there. And, gosh, I hope I'm not leaving somebody out. I guess I should have checked on that before I decided to mention it.
Is Toby also going to that one? I believe
And
he
of
might
course, bless you, Jackie.
be.
That's why they pay you the big bucks. Toby Proctor, who plays Tuxedo Mask, is also going to be there. I know why I had a little blip there. It's because I was just focusing on the girls, and Artemis, of course, is not a girl, but yes, Toby Proctor, the fabulous Tuxedo Mask. So it's going to be an amazing thing because we haven't all seen each other for a very long time. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's an exciting thing because we all really liked each other. I mean, that's the other thing, and I think that comes across when you watch Sailor Moon. We really, really liked each other, and when we see each other, it's hi, how are you doing? It's that sort of thing, and it's not fake. It's not the old, oh yeah, I worked with her for 14 years, and that kind of thing, and the fake kiss on both cheeks and all that stuff. It's not like that at all. It's totally genuine. So we're looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to it, and I think they are too. So, and of course, LA. Hello, it's going to be warm and exciting, and well, it's going to be warm in Canada too in July. We hope. It doesn't look like it now.
Well, I have to say for the convention in Alabama, that one that's Comic-Con for any of you out there who missed our interview with Raymond Lenzer, the con chair for Comic-Con. That was earlier in the week. But
Oh, perfect.
I can vouch for them. We've been guests at their convention for about 3 years. I don't think this year, but I would like to say that they're a great group of people. The staff is phenomenal, and you'll have a wonderful time.
Oh, thank you. And you know that Raymond is getting married at this convention.
Yes, that's very exciting.
Oh my God! Yeah. So we're all excited. We're all invited to the wedding, and this is just. And of course, his proposal is posted on the website, on the Comic-Con website, and it's just so cute. And here he is. Oh, anyway, that's just very, very exciting. And yeah, everybody loves a good wedding.
And once again, a reminder to the cosplays out there, please don't go to the wedding in a wedding cosplay.
Oh, that's a really good point.
He made a note of it during the interview, and I just want to remind people not to do that.
Oh my, yeah, no, we can't have too many. You cannot ever upstage the bride. No, that would not be good. So is she going to wear? Yes, really. Is she going to wear a traditional white dress? Did he say, or does he know?
Yes, yes, she is. They're making it fairly formal, from what I can tell. Obviously, he has some plans and surprises that he didn't want to reveal to us because he's going to reveal them during the event. But I'm sure it's going to be a very classic, sort of wedding with an anime twist.
Sounds wonderful. Oh my goodness. And we should mention the bride's name, Chelsea. That's important. I think it takes 2 to tango.
That's true.
Yeah, Chelsea and Raymond. Yeah.
But no, I hope you have a lot of fun at Comic-Con, and Anime Expo can be a little bit overwhelming, but you have gone to Fan Expo before, so I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. You just have to get into the idea. Like, you can't let your brain say, "Oh, there are so many people here. Oh, wow." You can't do that. You just have to say, wow, I love all these people here. Look at them all. Isn't this great? So I don't have any problem with, I've never had problems with crowds. I have some friends who do have problems with crowds. So I think you have to be aware of that when you're going to some of the bigger cons. That, if you have a little, if it, makes you a little antsy, then maybe the bigger ones are not a good idea, I guess. But
Yeah, I've had a friend actually, I believe for about 5, 6 years now. I've talked to her mostly online, but we send each other Christmas and birthday gifts, and I'm not going to mention her name because I don't want to freak her out. But
okay.
she has difficulties sometimes in social situations. She can have anxiety attacks, and I've tried my darndest to convince her, how about you go to a convention and like you wear a mask? Because you can do that at a convention if you want to hide and be away from people. And she was gun ho and ready to do it, but obviously it never came to fruition. So I can
Oh,
understand from a secondhand experience, that it's very difficult. So hopefully anybody out there, if you want to go to a convention, I understand that, you might have social issues, but at the same time, it's a really an amazing experience.
oh, absolutely. And in fact, maybe that would be a good time to sort of get over that hurdle because I think there are quite a few people there who have to kind of suck it up a little bit, and they
Mhm.
but they do because they just enjoy being at the convention so much, and then they realize, hey, that wasn't so bad after all. I got through the day, and it was fun. And most importantly is just meeting. I think meeting other people like you, right? People who enjoy the same things you do. That's always so exciting and makes you feel so good that sometimes it can make you forget other little things that you're worried about, you
And
know?
you're making great memories as well.
Of course, exactly. And taking great pictures, and you go home and you look at everything and you say, "Oh, that was such a great time." Wow. Yeah.
Well, for the fans out there, it's now part of their favorite part of the interview. We basically ask if you'd be willing to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Okay.
Basically, we ask if you'd be willing to do a radio bump for us.
A radio bump?
Yes.
Okay.
The trick of it, however, is that we do the takes live on air. So if you mess up, everybody hears it.
Oh, thank you.
No, not at all. That's their favorite part for a reason.
Oh, then maybe I'll just mess up on purpose.
Well, basically, we ask if you'd be willing to say, hello, my name is, you insert your name. I do this. You can insert characters. I'm a voice actress, whatever you want to put there. And you're tuned into 91.8, The Fan.
Okay. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. All these instructions, I don't know. I'm suddenly feeling very blonde. Okay. All right, here we go. Take number one. All right. Hello, my name is Susan Roman. I do the voice of Sailor Jukes on Sailor Moon, and I am here at 91.8 The Fan asking you to please stay tuned, come on back, because we're having a great time.
Look at that.
That's
That was
it.
perfect.
Okay.
That was super perfect.
Oh, well, I
That's
got really nervous there.
fantastic. I muted myself just in case. Didn't want to accidentally, like, who knows, burp on air in
Oh,
the middle of the
burp.
bump. Yeah, there you go.
That's always attractive.
Isn't it? Well, hey, I'm human. I might be a girl, but I'm human, so.
Well, one of the things that it's so funny when we first started talking, I said, "Oh, I should maybe have some water here, just in case, my throat gets dry or something." So, like a total doofus, I pour a glass of club soda, which has, of course, bubbles in it. So, about 15 times during our conversation, I have had to swallow a burp.
That's
Because
why I don't drink any Dr. Pepper when I'm on air anymore.
I was just going to say, where is my brain? You don't drink carbonated drinks when you're on the, speaking of on the air, a friend of mine was asking me what to do about dry mouth, and I said, it's so funny that and dry mouth is just when you're on the air talking a lot, all of a sudden your voice gets a little bit dry, and then you start to click when you're speaking. I mean, you would know that. I'm just saying that to all the people listening.
Mhm.
So I told him when I was first starting, oh, so many moons ago, I was at the CBC, which is the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. It's the biggest corp in the country, CBC Radio, and I was doing. I forget what I was doing actually, but the engineer there was approximately 114 years old, and he said, "Oh, it sounds like your voice is getting a little, your throat's getting a little dry. I'll go get you some pineapple juice." And I said, "Pineapple juice?" He said, "Oh
Huh.
yes, they've used that since the beginning of radio. That's in the olden days when like they'd cup their hands over their ears and they'd be talking into the microphone. Back in the 40s or whenever it was, that's what they would be sipping on would be pineapple juice, because I guess the acidity or something cuts through anything that's happening that's causing dryness, and it's also giving your vocal cords a real nice jolt of moisture that plain water can't do.
I've
So
never thought of that.
give it a try. You never know. I mean, if it was good enough for those guys back in the 40s, I mean, I don't even think they had Dr. Pepper back in the 40s, did they?
I'm
Probably
not
not.
sure.
Was that the 1940s or the 1840s? I know that sounds so far long ago.
I mean, I know the green apple trick with
Yes.
lip smacking. You have a green apple, but I've never tried pineapple juice, so I will have to keep that in mind. Thank you for that.
Okay, you're welcome.
And now for the listeners out there, is there anything else you want to tell them? Any words of wisdom, dating advice, weather forecasts, anything like that?
Weather forecast. I've always wanted to
So,
be a weather girl, weather woman. Oh, doesn't that sound awful, weather girl? You know what? I would like to give a shout out to one of my favorite Sailor Moon websites, which is called Moon Chase. Have you ever heard of that one?
yes, I do. I actually visit that one frequently.
Okay, and it's www.moon-chase.com. Um, I have come into contact with the people who put that site together, and I've been in contact with Deepa, who puts a lot of it together, or has done. I don't know if she's still doing it because she's off doing her studying. But it's a really, really in-depth website. And actually, I was just remembering that they did they're doing interviews, obviously, with us off and on. I mean, us being the cast of Sailor Moon, off and on during the years. And I was just remembering, looking to see if I could get any more information. And I found an interview that I had done. It was a written interview that I had done with them, and it's on their blog, the February 2011 blog. And the reason that I'm bringing it up is because the questions, and it was written, of course, so I had to sit there and just type out all the answers, which was great because it gave me time to think about what I wanted to say. And the questions were, pardon me, were very good and in depth. And in fact, the more I thought about the questions, the more I realized that there was a lot I hadn't kind of processed about Sailor Moon. It was interesting. So what it did was, at the end of the interview, which I guess I'm a little long-winded. It is a kind of a lengthy interview. But when it was finished, I thought, that's really interesting. I now think that I understand better, more about this project than I did when I was doing it. And that's always a good thing. You know what I'm saying? That all of a sudden you realize, in hindsight, wow, that's what was going on, or that's what. Anyway, so I just have to give a shout out to that website because I do think it really is quite excellent. There are so many excellent ones out there, and I'm sure everybody has their favorites, I'm sure.
Well, we really appreciate you being here, and I'm sure that the listeners will visit your shout out site for all of the people out there who are listening. And this was a wondrous interview. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Jackie. I think you are terrific, and I hope that you just man the microphone at many, many radio stations to come.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And for any of the listeners out there that missed any of this interview, don't fret. You can find it on the website within the next few days. So keep your eyes peeled to 918thefan.com and your ears tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't.